Graham, your initial thoughts on the performance and the result?
Well, we're disappointed because we've come away with nothing. So clearly that's a frustration for us. But in terms of the performance, lots of positives. I thought it was an even game, relatively even game in terms of chances and shots. First half really positive. We got a bit of luck with the VAR goal, but at the same time I think we got into their box quite a few times and attacking entries, and the intention and the idea was there. The effort was there. We probably the first goal is a bit of a disappointing one from us in terms of allows the environment to change, and then at 1-1 we have there's a free kick, could have been maybe a second yellow, maybe, and there's little things that you need maybe to go in your way, didn't, and then the second goal is a world-class finish. So we probably weren't able to see out that period of time well enough. But overall we have a lot of positives to take again, but it's just frustrating, but we have to take that frustration to Bournemouth in about a few hours' time.
Was the game plan influenced at all by what you saw from Chelsea the other day here?
No, not really. Just we obviously lost Lewis with illness, so he's a big factor in what we do, and then the balance and who was available. Monty rolled his ankle a little bit in training, so it just gave us the best way of using the players that we had available for today's game. It was just the idea we went with. I was going to do that before we saw the Chelsea game, to be fair, but we've used the back five before in the season. It's something we're okay with.
And how pleased were you with the players you brought in, including two wing-backs who've hardly played this season?
Yeah, really, really pleased. Obviously the challenge for them is to maintain it over the 90 minutes, and it's hard to do when it's your first games, but Galgo especially carried on, and there were times when I was going to bring him off, but he just kept going, and great personality. And Bernie first off especially did well. We changed it a bit when we went 2-1 down to try to get back into the game. Overall, I've got no real complaints in terms of effort, in terms of the idea, intention, quality, the little bits that we need to do, the little margins to turn these games so we come away with something. That's where we have to carry on working.
You now have fewer points at this stage of the season than your predecessor last year. Do you feel, and you haven't kept a clean sheet now, you've kept one clean sheet in 8 games now, are you worried that you may now have to go a bit more defensive as you get closer to that bottom 3? You want to stay away from that period, that position, obviously, that little area. Do you now have to go a bit more defensive?
I wouldn't say that. I think in football you have to have a balance, and you have to do the attacking and the defending well. If you look at the last, say, 20 matches of last season, the balance of the team was probably more defensive, and that wasn't the solution in terms of points. So there's
Stayed up though.
Sorry? Stayed
up though.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course we have to, again, you have to do both sides of the game well, I think. And I thought we did, but not well enough, and that's the challenge for us.
Graham, you referenced the wings. Do you think he was a bit fortunate today?
Yeah, well, if you see the challenge and it's a foul, it's a lunging one, it's no more or less than Dan Burns' yellow. But again, these are little things that are not the reason, but they're just the little things that you need to probably have. But overall, you can't worry about that. We just focus on what we can do and do our thing a bit better.
Spurs are playing again in 48 hours. Obviously, you're playing at lunchtime on Saturday. I was wondering what your thoughts on the schedule were.
in terms of being able to select a team and then select the same players the next game is very, very difficult. And the scientists and people that know about recovery and would say that it's not good, but it's the Premier League, it's the schedule, so we have to adapt and we have to deal with it. But I've heard Jurgen Klopp and I've heard Brendan Rodgers and I've heard Jose Mourinho, and they're all far more experienced than me, and I don't disagree with them.
Just on that, obviously there's a winter break that comes in February, but do you think that really will have an impact when you're playing God knows how many games in the space of the next week?
Yeah, the winter break's a weekend, isn't it? And it doesn't change the fact that the question is about the 48 hours, and so it's no real. It's okay, but it's not the main issue. The main issue is the 26th, 28th game, I suppose, is the worry for the players if you want to select the same players.
That's what I mean, that the actual effect would be to have something now rather than a weekend in February.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe just it's a tricky one. The Premier League, on the one hand, I'm sure they give the clubs a lot of resources and finances so that they can demand a certain type of programme over the Christmas period. So I understand it from a commercial perspective for them. I imagine they get a lot of viewers and they'll be able to sell the games. So on the one hand, I can understand, but on the other hand, in terms of if you're just talking about performances and maintaining a certain level, it makes it difficult. But again, we have to adapt to that. That's the challenge.